Good Wednesday afternoon to you. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for joining us on Sports4CLE. Plenty of Browns to talk about as they get ready for the Lions. A little later in the show, Ashley Bastock from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com will join us as we continue to talk Browns. That's also where we will begin. So some news. Baker Mayfield did not practice. He is expected to play. Myles Garrett not practicing for personal reasons. A.J. Green, Anthony Schwartz, both in the concussion protocol. Troy Hill, Malik Jackson, Jarvis Landry not practicing. Nick Chubb and Demetric Felton still not cleared from the COVID-19. They have to go through the protocol, get those 2 negative tests 24 hours apart. So that is the situation. Still none of the pieces back that were missing a week ago, but plenty of time to get them healthy. Kevin Stefanski did say he expects Baker Mayfield, Myles Garrett to play. It's a wait-and-see kind of deal with both Demetric Felton and Nick Chubb, as well as the guys that are in the concussion protocol, Anthony Schwartz and A.J. Green. Kareem Hunt will not be coming back, but he is making progress from that calf injury. He won't be able to go against the Lions, but again, trending towards getting better a little bit each day. All right, Baker Mayfield met with the media, just talked about where he is physically. Again, did not practice today. Kevin Stefanski thinks he will be able to go on Sunday. Here's Baker Mayfield on just his physical makeup and how he's doing.
Yeah, this is probably the most beat up I've ever been in my career. And it's not like it's one particular thing, it's multiple. Got a lot of crime out in Berea right now.
I thought you called the ambulance.
I might have, I don't know. No, it's just that time of the year and things add up and just, a couple things after another. So it is what it is. There's definitely a couple plays where, I look back and say maybe would have used my feet here and there, but I have to adapt. I mean, nobody's going to feel bad for you. It's not an excuse. You just have to find a way to make a play.
Let's welcome in Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. And Hayden, it's pretty obvious that the bangs and bruises are starting to mount up. He's not able to do everything that he can do, not able to use all the weapons. But if he's out there, got to find a way to make a play, and he knows that better than anybody.
Yes, he does. Baker Mayfield's a guy that doesn't make excuses, obviously just goes out there and toughs it out every week. And I don't think he's going to be making any excuses for his foot, for his shoulder, for his knee that's banged up. He's right. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a league about it's a pass or fail league. And if you don't win, you'll fail. And if you win, you pass. So he knows as well as anyone the Browns got to go out there and win on Sunday. And he wants to be out there doing it with them. He wants to be out there with his teammates. And if he's, healthy enough to go, then he's going to go.
The other thing that is it was very stark, and Kevin Stefanski's talked about it, and we'll hear more on it, but Browns have to be better on third downs. They were 1 of 11 offensively on third downs, and they gave up 7 of 9 conversions to the Patriots defensively, including 6 in a row when they strung together those long drives. Kevin Stefanski talked about the need to be better on third down, often referred to as the money down in the NFL.
That's a big focal point for us. We have to be better on third and fourth down on both sides of the ball. I want to say we're 28th on defense, 22nd on offense, around there, which isn't good enough. So we spent some time on that this week as a staff, and we, again, are trying to be problem solvers, find ways that we can improve, find things that we're good at, and continue to do them.
And Hayden, this is going to sound worse than it does. The bye can't get here quickly enough. They have to find a way to win both of those games before the bye, but I think they can cure some of their ills offensively during the bye week because they did that a year ago.
Yeah, they certainly did. And, obviously it stinks for the Browns to have a bye week that's so late in the season this season, but you're right. It can cure a lot of ills if they win against the Lions and they win against the Ravens. They're going to get some rest here with this Lions game. We see Kareem Hunt's not going to play, so he'll get some rest. Maybe he'll be back for that Baltimore game. We don't know about Nick Chubb and Demetric Felton. They could very well not play. But I would think that I would think that by that time they'd be okay to be off the COVID-19 list. So yeah, you're right. That bye week's going to be big for them. If they can find a way to scratch, claw, and and push their way through these two games, especially that game on Sunday night against the Ravens, then they're going to be in great shape. They're going to be in great shape. They got the Ravens again at home, but again, it's all about this game this week, and they got to focus on beating the Lions. The Lions they're not a very good team in terms of record, but they play very hard. They obviously tied last week in Pittsburgh, so maybe this is an opportunity for the Browns to say, hey, get their confidence back, get their momentum back, and then head into the biggest game of the year by far against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, and it sure seemed like the Browns' defense was different. It had a different mentality against the Patriots than it did against the Bengals. Did you sense that, or am I reading too much into it?
No, I mean, obviously it just wasn't. They weren't ready. They weren't. There's something that Josh McDaniels did, or something that Bill Belichick did to throw that defense off. Myles Garrett got his one sack, but other than that, I mean, they didn't get after the quarterback too much, which I thought they were going to do. They weren't very aggressive, which I thought they were going to be. They didn't cover very well, especially tight ends. So I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a combination of everything. I don't think they had that attacking style that you saw against the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't think you saw that at all. So I don't know why you didn't see that. I thought that was going to be their game plan going in, was to get after Mac Jones, to really rush the passer and get the line of scrimmage going in the right direction. But they did not do that. And instead, it looked like Josh McDaniels ran circles around that Joe Woods. So a bad week is a bad week. I don't think it's a bad defense as a whole. They've proven that they've proven that they can play and play really, really well. The problem is they just have zero consistency, and this would be a week to bring it back to get some more inconsistency by playing really, really well after a really, really poor game against the Patriots.
Yeah. So the fans and media have been all over Joe Woods. Some of it warranted, some of it not warranted. But in listening to Malik Jackson, the guys who are playing for him seem to support him pretty much across the board. Here's Malik Jackson about what he sees from Joe Woods.
He's the same guy every day, comes in, smile on his face. Now, we understand there's some fire under his butt because of what happened last week, all of our butts, but just that he's sitting there moping around, upset or feeling pressure and putting it on us. I don't feel that.
Do you think he has the trust and buy-in from the guys on defense?
Oh, no question. No question. Now, I think Coach Woods does a great job of that, and I think it's one of those things you have to be standing in front of a group of guys telling them what they're doing wrong all the time and not taking any responsibility kind of gets annoying. So I think he does a great job of really coming in, accepting blame because, it starts with him first, and then it rolls downhill pretty fast. So, but I think it's nice to have a coach that takes accountability and that understands, that we're all in this together, and that just doesn't say it, but really accepts it and tells us that. So, yeah.
So, again, Malik Jackson, veteran, and in hearing that, the guys that are playing for Joe Woods are on board, it appears.
Yeah, I don't think it's easier for fans and for media to come at a player, come at a coach, because they're not there, they're not in the trenches. They just see what they see on Sundays, and and that's fair. I mean, that's the place that the fans and media are. But for guys in that locker room, they see how hard these coaches work, how long you're in there. They see everything behind the scenes. They see every comment that's made by Coach Woods. They see every adjustment that's made. They see every game plan that's created. I mean, they see everything. So if Joe Woods is willing to take accountability and the players are willing to take accountability as well, I think that's a great kind of even line of communication where everybody's taking the blame and there's no finger pointing. So I think they play for Joe Woods. I do. I think they play hard for him. I don't think they dislike him whatsoever. I know that, maybe last game there were some issues with adjustments and whatnot, but not every game is going to be perfect, and be a player, be a coach. And, you got to have trust in your guy if you want to go anywhere the rest of the way.
Well, 5-5 is definitely not where anybody. I certainly didn't think the Browns were going to be 5-5. The Browns didn't think they were going to be 5-5. So Greg Newsome, rookie, talked about just how the team's reacting to being where they're at 5-5.
The biggest thing I see is just no panic. Nobody in the building has panic. We're all just preaching next week. Last week's game is in the past. We're going to flush it and just, move on to next week.
Greg, when the game is looking away like it did last week, what do you guys say to each other on the sidelines when the offense is on the field?
I mean, just keep playing. You don't know what can happen. The game's not over till the game's over. There's a lot more opportunity to make plays out there, so when you're out there, just keep going. And then after the game, we'll fix whatever we need to fix, but you just got to keep playing at the end of the day.
And again, Hayden, it's another week. keep your head down and, and get ready. And the thing you can't let happen, and listen, the Lions should have beat the Ravens. There was that 66-yard field goal on an extended clock that gave them a win, a 2-point win over the Lions, and they tied the Steelers. So if you don't show up ready to play, Lions will make you pay in the one-loss column.
That's right. That's right. You got to pay attention to the team ahead of you. I mean, that goes every week. You got to be 1-0 every week, and you can't worry about last week. Last week's over. It was bad. You move on. You get ready for a Lions team that has done some good things offensively in the run game. They have some tough defenders out there, so they're not a pushover. I think the Browns have the talent to beat them. I think the Browns, are going to come out with their butts on fire after last week, and I think that they do come out with a win, but still. You cannot take them lightly at all. As you mentioned, this is the NFL. Every week, every game can go any way. So you got to come out and play your best, and that's what the Browns are hoping to do on Sunday afternoon.
Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we'll talk a little bit more about Baker Mayfield, and we'll also see what can the Browns do to fix third downs. Sports for CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions, lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Browns getting ready for the 0-8-1 Detroit Lions. First Energy Stadium, 1 o'clock on Sunday. 5-5 Browns definitely need a win. Chris Broussard from FS1's First Things First, a guy who has worked at the Plain Dealer and at the Akron Beacon Journal, on the Browns' approach to extending Baker Mayfield.
Yes, I'm looking elsewhere. Now, that doesn't mean I don't like Baker Mayfield. It doesn't mean he may not be my quarterback of the future. All it means is that he has not yet proven that he is definitely that guy. Unless you have a star, a legitimate star at quarterback, then you're always ready to upgrade. And what Baker Mayfield has proven, guys, is that at this point, he's a game manager with moxie. He's a game manager with swagger. He got his swag back. Oh, that's what he is. All right? He's Jim McMahon. He's Jim McMahon. Remember Jim McMahon? Jim McMahon was a game manager with amazing swag. And look,
So much.
You won a Super Bowl with Jim McMahon. You had one of the best defenses ever in Chicago and one of the greatest running backs, arguably the greatest, in Walter Payton. If you get that in Cleveland, and obviously Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt aren't the greatest running backs ever, but that's a great running game. The defense has not lived up to what it needs to be. My point is this. Baker has not yet shown that he's definitely the guy. So this summer, I'm looking at Aaron Rodgers. I'm kicking the tires on Russell Wilson. And if Deshaun Watson's able to continue his career, I want him.
So, Hayden Grove, I get where Chris Broussard is going. Jim McMahon's actually a That's not a bad analogy, because if you think about it, Jim McMahon's teammates loved him and loved playing with him, and I think that's one of the strengths of Baker Mayfield. I don't know that the Browns have a read on if he's the guy or not. I honestly think this year kind of throws the whole thing murky, because you can't get a really good read on exactly how far Baker Mayfield has progressed. I think the shoulder's bothering him more now, the leg, the foot, everything. I mean, he's just getting beat up.
Yeah, I don't think they have to. I think they got 7 games left. I mean, they don't have to make a decision right now. They can just evaluate and see where they're at. And then, Baker Mayfield comes out and they go 5-2 down the stretch and they end up at 10-7, or they go 6-1 down the stretch and win a bunch of games. And then you're talking about, a team that's what? I'm really bad at math, like I said. So they lose. So they're 11-6. They're 11-6 if they lose out, or if they lose one game the rest of the year. I mean, you never know. And if the things go really bad and they lose 6 out of the next 7, I mean, they have time to evaluate. But I think that's a fair analogy from Chris Broussard. I think that obviously, you're right. Teammates love to play with Baker. Baker is a guy with a little moxie, a little swagger. But this year has just not been what we expected it to be from him. I think obviously the completion percentage is up, but he's not throwing the ball down the field as well. He's being pretty efficient, but not throwing for the touchdowns that he did last year. They just really, really, really need to see over these last 7 games if he can improve whatsoever, if these injuries can kind of subside, or if he's going to continue to get beat up. It's been one thing after another. And I kind of agree. I don't think they need to necessarily run Baker out of town. I don't think that's the case at all. I don't think they should run Baker out of town. I think what they should do is, keep Baker as a very big part of their offense, and, at the end of the season, evaluate. If they want to, if they think that a year of Aaron Rodgers would make the difference, then see what you can do. Or, if they think Russell Wilson is a legitimate trade prospect, and you can keep Baker and let him kind of learn from Russell for a year, I'm down with that. But I'd rather Baker Mayfield be the quarterback of the future, be the guy for the Browns, be the guy that everybody wants him and expects him to be. And I think that he can still be that guy. I don't think that there's any reason, why he couldn't do that, especially when healthy, especially when, another year under his belt. But this year has just not been what fans expected. And, maybe it does go back to the shoulder injury that happened in week 2, where he's had to play with that harness, and it's just been difficult for him. And I think this whole year has been difficult on him physically, mentally, and emotionally. So, he's got 7 games to have it and to play, and the Browns have 7 games to evaluate. And then after the season, they can say, okay, either we're going to look in another direction and maybe get some help here, or, Baker's the guy, and we're going to bring him into next year, and then, maybe potentially give him a contract extension. We'll see.
The other thing is if they're not, if they don't have a really good read, you could always franchise them. It doesn't really work out the way you want it to normally. But if they can't get a true read, there are mechanisms for them to extend it beyond that year. All right. Baker Mayfield, again, also talked about getting things turned around by holding each other accountable, meaning the Browns holding each other accountable in that locker room.
Tough conversations, realization, being honest with yourself. It's a humbling process. It's very easy to look around and try and find excuses, but when it comes down to it, we have 6 more games or 7 more games right now to be able to figure out how to make it work. And we have a lot of division games in front of us, and that's the most important part.
I think guys are willing to do that and have done that, have had those tough conversations and looked in the mirror?
Yeah, I think a lot of our guys are ready to do that. Majority that I've spoken with, everybody that I've spoken with has had the same idea that we just have to go make it work, find a way to do it. Now, I haven't spoken to everybody, but on offense, we're ready to roll and ready to get back out there. I don't think Sunday can come quick enough.
And that's usually what you hear folks saying when they're coming off a game like the Browns are coming off against Patriots. Let's get back on the field, because we don't want to have any we don't want to remember what went on in New England.
That's certainly true. There's no need to remember. Everything was bad. Literally everything was bad. Maybe one drive was good, but other than that, everything else was bad. So put it in the rearview mirror. Don't even. Sometimes I think you don't even watch the tape. Obviously the coaches can watch the tape, but as a team, you don't watch the tape because you don't even want to bother with it, right? You don't want to bother with it. You just say, okay, you've rinsed that, move on. That was the worst loss since 2005, and you're allowed to have days like that. It happens to pretty much every team in the NFL at some point or another. So you move on. And Baker's right; they got to get the offense rolling, and that's on the combination of the play calling, that's on the combination of Baker as the quarterback, it's on the combination of the offensive line, that's the combination of the wide receivers running the right routes. I mean, there's a lot of different things that, quite frankly, make an offense run. So it's hard to blame one person. It's hard to blame, one group. It's a collective effort offensively and defensively on the football field.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so on the defensive side of the ball, third downs have been a problem, and the defense has been all over. It's been really inconsistent. Malik Jackson talked about those defensive inconsistencies, especially on third down.
I think guys step up. I mean, this is a job. We get paid. I think the coaches, like they said earlier, are going to look at some other options, giving guys more burn, just giving guys options to go out there and do their thing. I think we all need to take a look at ourselves and see what we need to do better and see what we can do better, and everybody just be a good teammate and understand it's about the team. I think it starts top down. Having these coaches come in there, tell us what they want, and being consistent about it, and being, demanding about it, and having us go out there and do it in practice. If you don't do it, get out. If you are doing it, getting better, then stay in and help everybody else. So I think it's just everybody top down, just being the consistent message, and us going out there and doing what's expected of us.
And that's, again, when you have a performance like they're coming off of, it isn't any one thing. It's everything.
Yeah, it was everything defensively, especially for the Browns on Sunday. I mean, they didn't cover well. They didn't get to the quarterback enough. They weren't aggressive enough. They didn't tackle well. They just seemed like they got bullied by a Patriots team that was hungry, and the Browns defense did not seem hungry. It could be a talent issue. Maybe the Patriots offense is a little better than we gave him credit for, and obviously Mac Jones is a lot better than I gave him credit for. He threw dime after dime and was pretty much perfect in that game. And sometimes you got to tip your cap, but at the end of the day as well, you got to be better defensively. You got to make him uncomfortable. You got to make him make bad throws. So defensively, it was bad all the way around, from the linebackers to the defensive lines to the safeties to the corners. Everybody was bad, and they got to find a way to come back and correct it, because we've seen it. That's the problem. We've seen them play well defensively. They played very well defensively against the Bengals. They played very well defensively against the Bears. They've played very well defensively against the Vikings. I mean, this defense has had really good moments. So that's the problem with this entire team right now, is that they've had really good moments. They've just not been able to put together, period end.
Yeah. And so Kevin Stefanski talked about, correcting those issues and also having a sense of urgency, because at 5-5, they got to start winning.
Yeah, I feel that sense of urgency every day I walk in the building. That's just how the NFL works. Win, lose, or draw, the next game is the biggest game of your life. It's just how I treat it. Yeah, I think that's kind of what you do as coaches when you don't play as well as you would have liked, don't coach as well as what you would have liked. You spend time looking at it and spending time together as a staff and identify some areas that we feel like we need to improve and do a better job. And that's what you do week in and week out.
Yep, and Hayden, it's the same stuff we've talked about. Third downs, penalties, turnovers. Right there.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, they're not turning the ball over much. They're doing a pretty good job of holding on to the football. But defensively, it's been a nightmare in terms of turnovers. They don't get any. And then the week that they did, they won big. So they have to find a way to continue to turn the football over. They did not do that in New England. They got to get to the quarterback. That will obviously help in the turnover department. It's kind of a miracle that Myles Garrett has 13 sacks. Not one of them has resulted in a fumble, which I think is, crazy. I think that's just bad luck. But they have not turned the football over. As a defense, they have not taken the football away. They have not gotten turnovers. Like we said against Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals, I think Kyler Murray put the ball on the floor 4 times or something like that. So, and they didn't get one of them. So it's been non-opportunistic. On third downs, they can't get off the field. I don't know what it is. Maybe they're not aggressive enough. Maybe they're playing back too much. I don't know. Go back to that Bengals game, watch it, rewatch it again, and find out what you did in that game that got you to where you wanted to be, where you need that in this game. Or go back to the Bears film, or go back to the Vikings film. Go to those films and watch them again, because obviously watching last week's game is not going to do much for you.
Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com, and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we'll take a look at some of the highest graded Browns by Pro Football Focus through 10 games. We'll also talk more about Browns getting some consistency on defense. Sports for CLE, be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com, and I continue talking Browns. So Hayden, highest graded Browns through 10 games, Pro Football Focus. Myles Garrett, number 1. Then you got 3 of those offensive linemen, Bitonio, Teller, Conklin. And then Denzel Ward showing up on that highest graded list as well. And again, what that tells me is the offensive line hadn't been the problem. Myles Garrett and your shutdown corner hadn't been the problem. It's been pretty much everything else.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the offense, you look at the passing offense at this point, it just hasn't been there. Baker Mayfield's distributing the ball all over the field, but at the end of the day, it's not really, more often than not, it's not helping them to win games. I think their running game is definitely doing them more than that. So I don't know. I don't know what the issue is in terms of the offense right now. I mean, last year the offense was good, and it didn't necessarily consist of so many downfield passes. That wasn't the issue. It's just they were able to get guys open more, and Baker Mayfield was able to find people open more. So I don't know if it's more Kevin Stefanski. I don't know if it's more Baker Mayfield. I don't know if it's more the receivers not getting open. I don't know what the issue is this year, but it doesn't look the same. It doesn't have the same feel, and that's not necessarily to say that it's over. To say that this thing can't get turned around. I think it very well could, but you're right. The defense, you're right, and then Myles Garrett has been great. Denzel Ward's been great, but the linebackers have not been great. Safeties have not been great. The defense as a whole has just been so inconsistent. So I think that's, again, it all comes back to inconsistency, because we all know how good these guys can be. We all see it. We all see how good these guys can be. They just haven't been able to put it together for long enough stretches for us to see it consistently. And that's the frustrating part. And we all want to see them play their best, because we want to see fun football. We want to see good football. That's the whole point of this thing. So I think they can get there. I'm not, my hope is not lost, but they got to do it quickly. They got 2 games to prove that, hey, we're going to stay in this playoff race till the end.
Yeah. The other thing that I've been impressed with has been Greg Newsome. So let's take a look at most forced incompletions by rookie cornerbacks. Patrick Surtain, high pick for the Broncos. Newsome and Eric Stokes, all tied, 7 forced incompletions. And sure, he's made some rookie mistakes. By and large, though, Greg Newsome has been everything you could hope for as somebody to play opposite Denzel Ward.
Yeah, Greg Newsome has been awesome, especially for a rookie. His cover skills seem fantastic. Like I said, like you said, past breakups, 7 of them to start the season. He really hasn't been torched by anybody yet. I think he had a little bit of a difficult time with Cortland Sutton, but other than that, I think he's been fantastic. So you love to see that, and that's exactly what you want out of a first-round pick. So they're getting everything that they wanted from him, and I think that'll only continue going forward.
The other thing I would say is the way you can tell a rookie cornerback is playing well, they're not throwing at him a lot. It's not like they're targeting him. That's the biggest indication that guy can play. Greg Newsome also talked about just how the Browns' defense can get more consistent.
Yeah, it just starts at practice. And then just taking that to the game. We got to work as hard as we can out here at practice, and we got to treat every rep like it's a game rep. So when we get out there on the field, that we're ready to go. That's how it is at the end of the day. And we just got to preach to each other that let's all play for each other. Everybody do their job, and when we all do our job, we'll definitely win. So I think we've been practicing great. Just sometimes it just doesn't work out your way. And that's something that we kind of got to figure out, what is it? What are we not doing well enough? Are we not watching enough film? Things like that. So everyone just has to look at their, at their self in the mirror and see what they need to fix. And then when everybody fixes their own problems, then we'll be fine.
And Hayden, when you're 5-5, those are the conversations you're searching for an answer. How did we get here? And I think that's what you've heard from the players and Kevin Stefanski as well. They're trying to figure out, if you can figure out how you get there, you got a better chance of getting out of that spot.
Yeah, it's about accountability. You got to be accountable for your job. Every one of those 11 players on defense has a job to do, and they all have to be accountable to it. If even one of them doesn't do their job, then it could affect the rest of the play. It could affect the rest of the, the game. So Greg Newsome is right. He kind of said that you gotta call things out, and you have to kind of let your ego aside. And if you really want to win and you want to win as a team, you have to put your ego down. And you have to say, hey, all right, I'm not doing this well enough, or I'm not doing this to the point where it needs to be so we can win. And you got to let other people call you out on it. You got to take it, they're not doing it personally. They're not coming at you personally like, hey, you are awful. I hate you. We need, like, they're saying, hey, we know you can do it. You got to do it better. We got to do it better together as a defense so we can win, right? And to hear that criticism, to take accountability, he's right. I got to do better. I got to be better. I got to do my job. I got to be more focused. And that's how every player on that defense has to be, because without that mentality, it's not going to work. So I think, again, there's been really good moments for this Browns defense and moments of, that it's really poor. And they got to figure out what is the difference? Why is that happening? And once they can figure that out, then maybe you'll start to see some solid progress towards a more consistent defense.
Yeah. Well, one thing that has been consistent, the Browns, Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney are among the leaders in pressures as far as pass rushing duo goes. So Max Crosby, Yannick Ngakoue from the Raiders, number 1. Landry and Jeffrey Simmons from the Titans, number 2. Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, number 3 with 84 pressures. And if you're asking me, what do I want to see more of? Let those guys go get them. Let them go after the quarterback, play them tight. If you get beat for a big play, that's fine.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with that. And that's what I didn't see enough of against the New England Patriots. But again, I think New England came out with a really good scheme. They tried to, they screened them. They delayed handoff. I mean, they did a lot of things to kind of combat those guys. So, I'm more with you. That I would bring the blitz. I would make sure and if they beat you on a screen, they beat you on a screen. I mean, that's a play calling issue. That's not really a talent issue. It's not really an effort issue. So I'm with you. I'd let those guys pin their ears back and get to the quarterback. Again, we're going to see this week another not so mobile quarterback in either Jared Goff or Tim Boyle, who's the backup. Get after him. Get after him. Get after him. Get after him.
Yeah,
that's all.
You upgraded the athleticism of the defense. Let them go be athletic and get after an offense. Hayden Grove and I going to take one more time out. On the other side of the break, we'll kind of focus in a little bit more on this Browns-Lions matchup. Sports for CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
We continue talking Browns, getting ready for the Lions. Malik Jackson talked about the Browns and that defensive unit addressing the issues that they're having.
I think we have an old enough team where guys understand what's going on, but I also think it's one of those things that we kind of have a young team where individual room should speak up and have something to say to their guys. I don't think it's something where a guy needs to stand up in front of the whole room, because once you start pointing fingers, then you need to look at yourself. You know what I'm saying? And I think we all need to look at ourselves, so there should be no finger pointing. So I think it's just standing up in front of your room, everybody doing something different in their room to get better for the week and to really engage and to really know your personnel you're going against. So, I mean, the first thing that we're a team, we're brotherhood first. You know, the things we went through in camp in the summer, I think we've gotten to the point where, there will be no finger pointing. We understand that everybody's out here working their butts off and we're trying our hardest. It's just not falling our way. But I think finger pointing is the opposite thing. We have a team that's very close-knit. We talk, we communicate, we understand on both sides of the ball. Hey, what do I need to do? Tell me what I'm doing here. Hey, asking Wyatt, telling Batonio, what do I need to do this if I do this? Just trying to get more insight and make your game better. So, that's all we need to do right now. It's not panic time. We're 5-5, 7 games left, and we have a great opportunity to go out here and really make a run. We just need to like I said, get our train back on the track, be consistent, and be accountable.
So Hayden, as Malik Jackson mentions, Browns are 5-5. The question comes to mind: how'd they get there? How are the Browns 5-5 when everybody thought they were going to be better?
It really is a game-by-game basis when you look at it. You go through the schedule; they're 3-1. Then they lose to the Chargers, I believe, which was obviously a game that they very well could have won or played better or whatnot. I believe then after that, did they play the Cardinals? Yeah. No, yes. Maybe. I don't know. Well, the Cardinals, again, were, I think, undefeated at that point as well. They were 5-0 and they, ran into a buzzsaw there. And then with, the Denver game, they were beat up, came back and won that one. Then you lose to the Steelers and Jarvis Landry just has a bad day. That's really the bottom line of that game. And then you come back and you beat the Bengals and they play well. It's just been an up and down roller coaster every year. So it's been a little bit of everything, from bad defensive play to bad offensive play to bad luck. It's just been one thing after the other for this team. So they're 5-5, and that's probably where they should be because they have had such good performances and such bad performances. I mean, you look back at the Chiefs game, going all the way back to the first game of the year, a very winnable game, and they couldn't get the job done. The Chargers game, like I said, a very winnable game, couldn't get the job done. Steelers game, very winnable game, couldn't get the job done. So that's the difference between 8-2 and 5-5, and that's where they are.
That's fair enough. So now they're getting ready for a team that plays hard, but quite frankly just doesn't have the talent. And they came off a bye last week, did the Lions, and tied the Steelers. Greg Newsome talked about planning for the Detroit Lions.
I mean, if you go watch the film, yes, they haven't won a game, but they've had a lot of close games. So a lot of those games can go either way. At the end of the day, we're trying to get to the playoffs, so we have to wake up for games like this. I mean, every game in the NFL is big, and they're in the NFL too for a reason. They get paid just like us, so we'll definitely be ready to play against them too. I mean, it's crazy because they've had a different scheme the first 8 weeks, and then against Pittsburgh had a different one. So we're just gonna play true, and we're gonna have to just adjust out there and see what they're gonna do because they ran a lot of different stuff than they ran the previous week. So we're just gonna have to adjust out there.
So Hayden, when you look at this, some keys, some things that the Browns need to do, and some things the Browns cannot do if they're going to end up getting a win against a team they should beat. This is a team they should beat.
Absolutely, it's a team they should beat. What they have to do is get after the quarterback and use the defensive line, blitz, be aggressive, be very aggressive against this Detroit offense. They're good. They want to run the ball. Be aggressive in the front with the front seven. Use it to get after the quarterback. Use it to stop the run game. Make the receivers beat you. They didn't do that last week. This week they have to do it. They have to do it. Front seven's got to be up and applying a lot of pressure. Offensively, they got to be able to run the football and stick with the run. Stick with it. I don't care if they tie the game up and then you get the ball back in 7-7 or whatever. Just stick with the run. I think Nick Chubb probably has an opportunity to be back. I think Demetric Felton has an opportunity to be back. So run the football with those guys. Use play action in the pass game. Baker Mayfield loves play action. Look at the Donovan Peoples-Jones touchdown. I mean, look at other touchdowns he's had throughout the year. Use play action. Use play action. Use play action. It's really not that hard of a thing to do, and I think it helps everybody out when you're able to use play action. I think it helps out the run game. I think it helps out the pass game. So offensively, use play action. Defensively, get after the quarterback. It's not that difficult.
And to be honest with you, Dearness Johnson ran the ball fine. I think it ended up 99 yards, so he had almost 100.
Yep.
Problem was, got behind. After you get behind 2 or 3 scores, you can't really run the ball like you want to. But I agree with you. If it has to be Dearness Johnson, he can be effective.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we saw it against Denver. He can have a very similar game to that one. And again, this offensive line is one of the best in the league for a reason. They were paid well for a reason. So, again, get after, give him the ball, run the football. You're a run-first team, and use the play-action pass to get Baker Mayfield rolling off of that.
What do you think as far as the defense? And we've touched on it a little bit. I want to see the coverage tight, and I want to see the line aggressive. Similar to, I thought that's what they did against Bengals. I thought they got away from that against the Patriots.
Yeah, I completely agree. They need to be aggressive. They need to play cover 1. They need to play cover 3. A lot of man, not so much zone. So I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you. Get your covers, bump and run coverage. Get your guys lined up on the outside. I mean, again, I just wouldn't play the soft zone that they've played. I think they're better when their backs are up against the wall. I know it's a little tougher to play that way, but I think they're better at it. I think they're more equipped for it. So Joe Woods can't be afraid to let his guys fail. And I think they'll succeed more than they'll fail if they really work on man coverage on the outsides, getting after the quarterback, being aggressive in the blitz game. Maybe you stack in the box a little bit, get 7 in the box, something like that. Make them have to throw the ball, and I think good things will happen.
Yeah, and the corners have covered really well. So I'm hoping that's what we see. Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. As always, Hayden, appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Dave. Have a great night, guys.
All right, Hayden Grove, make sure you read them. Pages of the Plain Dealer as well as on cleveland.com. We're going to step aside. We will continue to talk about the Browns. Baker Mayfield. We'll talk just about how difficult the season's been and how to try to fix it. Ashley Bastock from the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com will join us. We'll continue talking Browns Lions. Sports for CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I am powerful beyond my wildest imagination.
I will define my future.
I will keep challenging myself to improve.
Because I am a future leader of this great nation.
I will be responsible for raising a beautiful family.
And educating not only my generation, but many more to come.
I will make a difference in my community.
And I will stand up for what I believe in.
I will not settle for simply chasing my dreams. I will achieve them.
Because I was given a chance.
An opportunity.
A home.
At Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America.
The ultimate leadership experience.
FCCLA has been one of the greatest experiences of my life.
It's made me who I am today.
Join us. We'll build a new future together.
We continue talking Browns, getting ready for the Lions over at First Energy Stadium, 1 o'clock on Sunday. Browns 5-5, Lions 0-8-1. Colin Cowherd from the Herd on if Baker Mayfield is the guy for the Browns.
We're 54 starts into Baker. In life, if you still are asking yourself, is he the right guy? He's probably not the right guy. Should I marry him? I've been dating for 7 years. Is he the right guy? You're asking yourself after 7. If your aunt's bringing the same guy to 6 straight Thanksgivings and the family's still split, he's not the right guy. 54 starts. Justin Herbert has 24. We were done asking after his first when he played Mahomes. Joe Burrow's got 19 starts. Nobody's debating if he's the guy. Kyler Murray's got 40. We were done debating it by his second. And I didn't even like him coming out of college. Mac Jones is at 10. We're not debating it. Josh Allen got the bag after his 43rd start, meaning they were probably sold on him by about his 30th. You know who we're debating? Baker and Tua. If you're debating something after 4 or 5 years, do I like this? Do I like that? You don't. You're just somebody that historically settles.
And let's welcome in Ashley Bastock from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. I don't necessarily agree with that. You can't make statements like that because you have to put everything in context. Baker Mayfield has played with some dysfunction. He gets Kevin Stefanski, plays really well second half of last year. And this year, I don't think you can get a read on him because I think he is more beat up than anybody wants to let on. It's just what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with that, right? And we heard from Baker Mayfield today say that this is the most beat up that he's ever been. So I think in a lot of ways in general, like I try to steer clear of those like sweeping, bold statements or predictions, but especially in this case, it's not fair to Baker, right? Like to be saying, oh, we don't know if he's the guy, but you look at all the injuries he has this year when it certainly, I don't think you can blame everything, every issue that he's had this season or that the offense has had this season on those injuries, but it's definitely a part of it. I really think that they can't be discounted, like I said, but I also think he needs to get a little bit of that, Baker Mayfield mentality back that we're kind of used to seeing, like play with some anger, play with some spark. And I think that could go a long way into improving the results that we're seeing on the field week to week with the pass game.
Yeah, I'm not making excuses with the injuries. I just don't think you can get a clear read on what his ceiling is yet because he's been beat up so much this year and it's his second year in the system. All right, Baker Mayfield, as you mentioned, addressed just how difficult this season has been and getting this offense fixed. This is Baker Mayfield from earlier today.
It's been tough, but I don't think anybody gives a damn. So, there's no reason to get into that. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to feel bad for us. So, it is what it is. It's all right. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Changes need to be made, but execution and there's plays to be made that we haven't. So that's where we're at right now. It's not, we have to sit down and do everything completely different. We need to be able to execute and put the ball in our playmakers' hands and let them go to work.
And that's one thing they haven't been able to do when Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt haven't been there. Getting the ball in playmakers' hands has been an issue.
Yeah, it has. I think it's no secret that the wide receivers especially need to be more involved in this offense. Mary Kay Cabot wrote a great story about what Jarvis Landry said about that yesterday, for example. Like even Jarvis Landry knows he isn't getting the ball as much as he would like. So I definitely think that's part of it. When you don't have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, going back to our last point that we were talking about, my colleague Dan Labby wrote a great story about if you follow the money with this team, how they're built, making Wyatt Teller and Joel Bitonio two of the top three highest paid guards, extending Kareem Hunt, which was a little bit of a different circumstance, extending Nick Chubb when they did. This offense relies so heavily on the run compared to what they've done in their pass game. But I think at this point, when you have those guys hurt, specifically Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, you really have to find a way to get the other facets of this offense going. And without it, I think that's when we're seeing some of the major struggles that we've seen in recent weeks.
Yeah, and there's a couple drops that critical times, and I'm a big guy that says let's use David Njoku. There were a couple of huge drops that would have helped that offense out a little bit last week. So when you give the opportunities to the playmakers, they come through too. There are so many areas that need to be fixed here. What do you think the most pressing is?
Oh man, I mean, I would just say the overall mentality in terms of this offense and how, I guess, like the different weapons you're going to use, kind of like what I'm talking about. They need to make it more versatile. Like you want to see them be able to make some of these adjustments on the fly. And on Sunday, watching that game, like I was not surprised by pretty much anything they did. I was waiting and waiting and waiting. And it just seemed like, some of those adjustments, some of those surprises, letting the guys play a little bit looser. It just didn't happen. Now, I think, it's probably some combination of all the three things that I'm about to list, which is injuries, some form of, play calling and getting that pass game involved. Like, I think they all need to improve. It's not just one thing. There's not a quick fix. And if there was a quick fix, the Browns would have found it by now, right? Because we've seen this up and down roller coaster, especially these last few weeks with this offense and with the defense, where you're not always sure what you're going to get. And that's kind of how it felt after Sunday. I don't know that there's one thing that really you can just wave the magic wand and it'll get better. But I do think there's a handful of things, like I said, maybe changing up the play calling a little bit, guys getting healthy back into the lineup, and figuring out a way to get that pass game going. I think all of that would go a long way, but again, not an easy solution there.
Yeah, you're right. If there was an easy solution, they'd have figured it out and have implemented it out in Berea. Kevin Stefanski did talk about one of those areas that we're talking about, just on getting Rashard Higgins and Jarvis Landry more involved in this offense. Here's Kevin Stefanski again from earlier today.
Yeah, I want all of our guys to touch the ball. I think you guys know how I feel about Jarvis, how important he is to us, and definitely want him to be involved.
Do you feel like the knee is hindering him a lot?
I think I've said it before. He's battling. I don't think he feels great, but he's battling. He's doing a great job. He's doing everything we're asking of him. We may call on him more, to your point, as guys are unavailable, but we're just focusing on making sure we're efficient in everything we do. Run, pass. We want all of our pass catchers to touch the ball.
And again, Ashley, they distribute the ball. They got to get a little bit more downfield and find a way to get some people a little bit more open even.
Yeah, that's been a huge problem with the passing game, I think. You look at, I think the longest pass Baker Mayfield completed on Sunday was for either 11 or 13 yards. It wasn't very far. They aren't taking many deep shots down the field, which I don't have the numbers from Pro Football Focus or anything directly in front of me, but that's been a trend these last few weeks. So I think when you take that element of the pass game away, you're really, really hindered. And I think just the fact that Kareem Hunt does so much in the pass game for you, without him in there, it really is a different story for you as an offense then.
Yeah, I would agree. Kareem Hunt, we might have underestimated just how valuable Kareem Hunt is to this offense. Ashley Bastock and I are going to step aside, take one more time out on the other side of the break. We continue talking Browns. We'll also look ahead as the Browns get ready for the Lions coming up Sunday at 1. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine and too late at night. But feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at casaforchildren.org.
We continue talking Browns football. So Jay Glazer from Fox Sports was on the Pat McAfee show talking about Baker Mayfield and the Browns.
I think the Browns are going to kind of, at the end of the year, kind of look at all their options and make a decision and kind of weigh it. Who can we get? Who can I? Is he our best option? And it's kind of a sticky situation, right? Because, half of them, they look at it like, okay, we can win with this guy. He can be our guy because he has that different. Baker's a little different, right? He got some shit in him. But there'll be a lot of veterans that are, perhaps up for grabs there in the offseason. But That's probably the
Who's going to be up for grabs?
situation.
Who's going to be up for grabs in the offseason?
Your guy.
Who?
He's not going to
Let's
Cleveland.
see if Russell, starts doing that again.
Who's my guy? Who's my guy? Hold on. Peyton's playing?
Huh?
Andrew Luck? Who's my guy? Who's my guy?
You got A-Rod.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Oh, my God. Could you imagine him going to Cleveland?
He's not going
in
to
the
fucking
dog
Cleveland.
pound?
When they're looking at it and they go, who's available? What guys can we get in trade? What guys are in the drafts? Is Baker a better option than all of them long term? And if they think yes, then they got to go long term with them.
And again, Ashley, they don't have to make that decision, but it's Andrew Berry's job to look at all the options, and you can be sure he will. That's what a good general manager does.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're going to talk about the Lions coming up here, but look at what played out with Jared Goff, right? Like, stranger things have happened. You have these partnerships in the league between players and coaches where you think they're stellar, they're never getting broken up, and then things happen. I still think it's likely. I always like to take the more conservative approach when I guess I'm analyzing these things. I think the safest bet right now is probably right. The Browns are not in a rush to make a decision on extending Baker, and they don't have to be. So I think, like, you look at his first year with Stefanski, and like you mentioned before, he's finally got some consistency from last year to this year. This year, in many ways with him, I think when you're evaluating him, like I said, you have to factor in those injuries. They don't excuse everything, and there are certainly things he could do better, but I definitely like to take that approach where it's like they're probably going to wait and see. And I guess we'll all find out once the timing gets closer, but don't want to make any sweeping statements here, I guess.
No, and I get where they're going with that. The Browns have a lot of talent on this team. And again, pump the brakes with the Browns are going to go trade for a quarterback thing. All right. What's the Browns' identity after that performance against the Patriots? I'm kind of scratching my head there as, they've been kind of up and down all over the place.
Me too. I mean, I think I asked just about every person that was in that post-game interview room on Sunday, what is your identity as a team? And if you have one, what do you think it is? What are the tenets of who you guys are as a group? And I don't know that they have one. I'm still not convinced. It didn't look like it out on the field, right? Because everything they want to be known for, this pick your poison offense, playing smart, tough, accountable. Well, they're not that versatile right now on offense. Penalties are killing them, which Kevin Stefanski has said. Defensively, they had those really good run ratings in terms of the defense as a whole, which we talked about when I was on last week. And they got eviscerated on the ground last week. And yes, Mac Jones kind of carved up the defense as well, but the running defense from Sunday should not be lost in any of this either, because it was a season worst performance for the Cleveland defense. So I really struggle with knowing what their identity is. And it's kind of hard to, not get on that roller coaster with them because it's up, down, up, down. You can kind of assume the Lions game is going to be a win, but then they have those Baltimore games coming up. So you can't even get too high with a win this Sunday if it does come, because it's just too much yo-yoing. So basically that's a long-winded way of saying I don't know that they have an identity, but they need to figure it out fast because we're getting into crunch time here.
Yeah, you got to basically a week before you have the biggest game of the year, followed by a bye, followed by the biggest game of the year. And as Kevin Stefanski likes to say, the game this week is now the biggest game of the year when you're 5-5. So what are some of the keys to coming away with a win against the Lions?
I think more than anything, it's the mentality that they have going into the game in terms of, not so much anything X's and O's, but really they need to shake off that loss and play better, like period, all around. There's not one easy thing to fix from that Patriots game because it all needs to be fixed. Now, if you look at the defense, obviously we talked so much about the offense with looking more downfield, getting that pass game going, all things that are important. We know Kareem Hunt's not going to be back this week. Kevin Stefanski said that today on Wednesday. So you have to do that without him still. But defensively, you look at how much the Lions ran against the Steelers last week when they tied. That was I want to say 3/4 of their total yardage came on the ground. So this is a chance for the defense to redeem themselves a little bit.
Yeah, I think they have to get back to kind of being the bully. I think they got bullied against the Patriots. If you're the Browns, you got to go out and dominate the Lions and say, okay, that's That's more like who we are.
Yeah, you need to have, obviously, and it goes without saying, right, because it's a game they won versus a game they lost, but you need to see the Browns that we got in Cincinnati that came out, they were the aggressors right from the jump, and you really just need, like I said, that shift in mentality that will fix, I think, a lot of the stuff, or at least make up for some of the things you can't fix instantaneously, like getting guys back due to injuries. But yeah, overall, there was just so much to fix for that Patriots game. We would be on here for 2 hours if we went through every little thing that they need to improve from last Sunday to this upcoming Sunday against the Lions, even though it's more of a gimme win, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, it's a game they should definitely win. Ashley Bastock, as always, appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, Ashley Bastock. Again, you can read her pages, The Plain Dealer, as well as cleveland.com. That'll do it for this edition of Sports for CLE. We will see you again tomorrow, 4 o'clock. Scheduled guest Matt Derry from the Lions Lockdown podcast, as well as 92.3 The Fan, and Mac Robinson from 92.3 The Fan are the scheduled guests. That is tomorrow, 4 o'clock on Sports for CLE. We'll see you then. Have a great night, everybody.